Right now, as you listen to this, the room you are sitting in is not static. I know it feels solid, like the chair beneath you feels completely real. But according to the radical manual we are exploring today, your physical reality is actively being redrawn by a cosmic GPU at a rate of 1 quintillion frames per second.
Yeah, which is, I mean, that's a 1 followed by 18 zeros.
Every single second.
Right. It completely shatters our standard perception of reality.
Yeah.
Because it means the physical world isn't, a fixed structure you are trying to navigate. It is a live, real-time render.
Exactly. And the reason your life might feel completely stuck, the reason you do the morning routines, you write down your goals, you try so hard to change your circumstances, and absolutely nothing happens. It's because you are trying to reprogram that 1 quintillion frame per second supercomputer using a broken, outdated web browser.
So welcome to this deep dive. Today we are opening up a wild hardware manual called The Human Body Was an OS by Shunpeter Z.
Such a fascinating text. It really is. And our mission today is to decode the true specifications of human biology. We are entirely throwing out the idea of the body as just a fragile shell of meat and bone.
We have to, because if you read this text carefully, it makes a highly technical argument that you are operating the ultimate biological XR, meaning extended reality device.
Right.
And it was explicitly engineered to interface with the cosmos.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the core glitch causing all our traditional self-help routines to fail is an operating system error. The text argues that you and I are running on a buggy legacy OS.
Yeah, what it calls the Ego OS or MIOS.
Right, and we are trying to use that instead of the native factory-installed Creator OS, which the author calls the Z-OS.
What's fascinating here is how we have to redefine the environment before we even look at the physical body. So imagine a glowing, sort of matrix-like blueprint of human anatomy.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
To understand the hardware, you first have to understand the network it connects to. The foundational framework here is that the universe runs on a massive back-end cloud called the zero-point field, or the ZPF.
And just to ground that for a second, because zero-point field sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie in physics, it's essentially the underlying sea of quantum energy that remains even in a perfect vacuum.
Yes, exactly.
But in the context of this manual, it's like the ultimate AWS cloud server of the universe.
Precisely. It is the infinite repository where every potential reality, every possible future log exists as unrendered source code.
Wow.
But to get that code to show up as a solid object in your life, like a new job, a healed relationship, a physically healthy body, you need a physical rendering unit, a cosmic GPU.
A 3D printer for reality.
Right. And that GPU is rendering the ZPF data into dense 3D matter frame by frame. But this brings up the most crucial part of the software architecture, because there are 4 distinct layers to this process, and we usually confuse which one we actually are.
Let's break those down, because this was the first huge aha moment for me when I was reading.
Okay, so at the very bottom, you have Z, the ultimate source code, the ZPF itself.
The cloud.
Right. Then stepping up from that, you have I. I is the observer, the programmer. This is pure consciousness, pure intention.
It's the part making the actual choices.
Exactly. It is the layer that selects which timeline to stream from the cloud. Then we step up to me. This is the Ego OS. In strict IT terms, me is just a local web browser.
Wait, like Google Chrome?
Yeah, think of it like a biological version of Chrome or Safari. It comes pre-installed so your avatar can experience the simulation of linear time and space. And then finally, you have the PRU, the cosmic GPU, actually drawing the physical matter.
I absolutely love this analogy because it explains so much human frustration. I mean, trying to force your reality to change using your ego, using the me, is literally like trying to rewrite a website's underlying HTML code by furiously smudging your finger across your physical computer monitor.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
No. You are trying to act as the root administrator from the heavily restricted read-only level of a local web browser. I mean, for you listening right now, have you ever felt totally exhausted trying to manipulate your life? Like trying to force a project to succeed or force someone to understand you?
It is exhausting because
Right.
the me is never actually driving. It's entirely reactive.
Right.
The local browser runs automated reflexes based on cache data. So your past traumas, your memories, the societal conditioning you absorbed as a kid, it operates with a split-second lag behind the cosmic GPU.
So it's always behind.
Always. So the frames are already rendered, and the ego just hallucinates that it made the decision. You think you were making sovereign choices, but you were just running an old script on a loop.
Okay, so if my consciousness is essentially this local web browser and my true self is the observer trying to connect to a cosmic cloud, Wait, where's the physical hardware? I mean, if my body is a biological XR headset, I want to know where the actual antennas and hard drives are located.
Well, if we are looking for the antenna, the text points us straight to the center of the brain, specifically the pineal gland.
Okay, I have to stop you there because my BS detector is going off a little bit with this one.
Fair enough?
We hear a lot about the pineal gland in mystical New Age circles, the whole third eye concept. But this text treats it as literal hardware. Is there actual biological proof of this, or is the author just using a very liberal, poetic metaphor?
It's a great question, and it's where the text shifts from philosophy to biophysics, because it's not poetry. Modern research shows the pineal gland contains literal microcrystals, specifically apatite and magnetite.
Wait, magnetite, like the literal magnetic materials and quartz crystals we use in our smartphones and radios to catch radio wave frequencies.
Exactly like that. Those crystals aren't there by accident. The pineal gland functions mechanically like a biological Wi-Fi modem. Its literal hardware purpose is to hit physical resonance with quantum wave frequencies.
Wow.
The author calls these frequencies future logs, and they are streaming directly from the ZPF cloud. So your pineal gland is an antenna actively downloading pristine cosmic source code into your local neural grid.
All right, I follow the hardware logic, but here's the massive glaring contradiction for me. If I have this incredible space-age Wi-Fi modem in my head, and it is theoretically downloading perfect, pristine future logs from the universe, why is my reality still glitching out?
Right.
Like, why am I still stressed about my inbox or anxious about my mortgage or repeating the same argument with my partner?
Because a pristine file download from the cloud still has to pass through your local system's firewall and cache.
Ah, the cache.
Yeah, and this brings us to one of the most hidden components in the brain's architecture, the fornix. It's an arch-shaped bundle of nerve fibers located right in the brain's third ventricle. And what's incredible is how the author links this physical brain structure to deep esoteric history.
Oh, this part was wild.
Yeah. The text defines the fornix as the true biological Ark of the Covenant and the alchemical Furnace.
A literal furnace inside the brain. See, this makes sense now. The ancients didn't have IT terms like clearing the cache or uninstalling a buggy script, so they called it a furnace, but it's the exact same hardware mechanism.
Exactly. It acts as the system's cache clearer. Think about what happens when we encounter a raw emotional fear.
We usually panic.
Right. Our default ego OS routine, the MEOS, is to run away, suppress it, or obsessively try to control the outside world to make the fear stop. But when we actually sit still and face that raw, terrifying emotion without running, the fornix uses that intense psychological friction to literally incinerate the old buggy belief codes.
It's burning the old cache data.
Yes. In alchemy, this is known as the Nigredo phase, the blackening or the burning away of impurities.
Yeah.
By feeling the fear instead of fighting it, the fornix wipes the local browser cache clean.
So it makes room for the new download.
Exactly. Only then can the pristine data from the pineal gland actually install without being corrupted.
Okay, so let's trace the data path here. The pineal gland downloads the wave data. The fornix clears the old cache so the data isn't corrupted. But it is still just a quantum wave. How does a quantum wave become a solid particle?
That's the big question.
Right. How does a future log of, say, vibrant health actually become the dense 3D physical reality you and I are interacting with?
That translation happens as the data moves down the pipeline to the API gateway. And here, you have to basically forget everything you learned in basic high school biology, because this text completely flips the script.
Which I love.
The API gateway is the heart.
And it's not just a pump.
Not at all. The human heart actually contains a localized network of roughly 40,000 independent neurons. It is essentially an autonomous second brain. And crucially, it doesn't follow the cranial brain. It leads it.
It tells the brain how to interpret the reality data.
Correct.
Yeah.
The heart generates a massive toroidal electromagnetic field. When the heart enters a state of deep appreciation and physiological coherence, meaning you aren't just thinking a positive thought, your body physically feels safe.
Right, you're actually embodying it.
Yes, it sends a command straight up the vagus nerve to the brain's subprocessor. It tells the system to accept the ZPF data without panicking. It stabilizes the connection.
Which sets up the final piece of the manifestation hardware, the output device, the 3D reality printer. And the text identifies this as the throat, or the fifth chakra.
Yeah, the manifestation microphone.
Exactly. It calls the throat the ultimate manifestation microphone. It takes that nonverbal light data stabilized by the heart and translates it into physical sound waves to literally arrange matter in the space around you.
And this is where the manual introduces a truly profound observation about the difference between linguistic operating systems.
Oh, this blew my mind. The difference between English and Japanese. Because the author describes English as a consonant OS. It's heavily built on consonants, which makes it an incredible language for doing, for dividing things, categorizing, and solidifying action in linear time.
Right.
But Japanese is described as a vowel OS.
Right. And to understand how that physically matters, you have to look at the mechanics of sound. In Japanese, nearly every single syllable mathematically ends in a vowel.
Right. And think about how a vowel actually works physically in your body compared to a consonant. If you say a hard consonant right now, like a K or a T sound, it's a hard stop.
That cuts off the air.
Exactly. Your tongue or your lips literally block the airflow. It terminates the sound wave. It's an aggressive start-stop code. But if you say a vowel like ah or your throat is completely open. You can hold that note and sustain that vibration for as long as you have breath.
Which means a vowel OS acts like a continuous tuning fork. Because it doesn't constantly terminate the breath, it continuously creates a sustained resonance that physically vibrates the spatial matrix around you.
It's literally vibrating reality.
Yeah. This is the underlying science of kododama, the Japanese concept of the spirit or soul of words. It is sound functioning as a physical programming code to arrange matter.
So when you speak, you are literally executing a command prompt into the cosmic GPU, collapsing quantum waves into physical particles. But wait, this naturally leads to a massive logical problem.
Uh-oh, what's that?
Well, if my throat is this miraculous 3D printer for reality, and my heart is this flawless API gateway, why do I feel completely exhausted by 2 p.m. every day?
Oh, yeah. That's a very common glitch.
I mean, this biological XR system sounds like it should be infinitely self-sustaining. So why is my personal battery always flashing red?
It's the perfect question.
Yeah.
And it moves us directly into the power supply of the architecture. Because a Wi-Fi modem and a 3D printer are totally useless without electricity.
Right, you got to plug it in.
Exactly. The local drive for this system is the solar plexus and the gastrointestinal tract. The gut has over 100 million neurons. It acts as a third autonomous brain, physically digesting emotional data and making the sovereign choice of, I will, but the true high-voltage power source lies even lower.
Here's where it gets really interesting. We're talking about the pelvis. The sexual energy generated in the pelvic bowl is not just designed for biological reproduction. The text argues that this energy is the absolute highest voltage cosmic electricity assigned to our device. It is the raw, unadulterated fuel meant to power the rendering of your reality. There is a reason the root word of the sacrum bone tracks back to the Latin word for sacred.
It is the core furnace of creation.
Yeah.
It is the root origin point where the light data finally receives its massive power injection to materialize as solid matter. But to answer your question about why we are all so exhausted, it's because of catastrophic system leaks.
The leaks?
Yes. The author introduces a virus in our programming called the Validation OS. When our legacy Mios browser feels a sense of lack or shame or powerlessness, which, let's be honest, it almost always does because it's disconnected from the source, it panics.
It totally freaks out.
Right. And instead of using that massive pelvic voltage to render a beautiful reality, it reroutes the current outward. We literally spray our highest voltage vital energy into the matrix to beg for external validation, just to prove to the system that we have a right to exist.
Wow, we put on armor to hide our perceived flaws. And the text breaks down these armors perfectly. Like, if you were listening right now, think about how you operate in the world. You might put on the ruler armor, where you aggressively micromanage your staff or your family to hide a deep, terrifying fear of powerlessness.
Oh, definitely.
Or maybe you wear the hero armor. You're the person working 60 hours a week, choosing the absolute hardest path for everything, and secretly flexing your burnout as a badge of honor just to prove your worth to everyone around you.
Or it can be more subtle. You might wear the sage or the spiritual ego armor. You look down on the quote-unquote unawakened NPCs in society to hide a deep, painful sense of material failure in your own life. Or the caregiver armor, where you run on toxic self-sacrifice, constantly doing things for others so that they mathematically cannot abandon you.
Oh, wow. That one hits close to home for a lot of people. The material graphics of the armor look different for everyone, but the underlying source code is identical. It's a loop of comparison, shame, defensive flexing, and then a catastrophic system drain. Every single time you run one of those defensive scripts, you are taking your highest voltage creative electricity and leaking it out to manipulate the simulation. It completely drains your battery and freezes your reality into loops of conflict.
So the obvious next step in the manual is, okay, how do you seal the leak? How do you permanently upgrade the hardware to actually run the Creator OS, the ZOS?
Right, how do we hit update?
It requires dropping the armor. When the ego finally stops seeking that external validation, when you stop trying to prove your worth to the matrix, the electrical current stops leaking outward. It reverses direction.
It goes up.
Yes, it shoots straight up the central data cable of your body, which is the spinal highway. And structurally, the human spine consists of exactly 33 vertebrae.
The biological Jacob's ladder, again, an ancient religious term describing a physical IT upgrade path.
Exactly. This massive electrical current surges up those 33 biological steps.
Yeah.
And as it does, it accesses the root directory of your biology, which is your DNA. Mainstream science currently labels roughly 96% of our DNA as junk DNA because they don't see it coding for proteins.
Which is just wild to me.
Right. But the text argues this is profoundly misunderstood, that 96% is actually 16 gigabytes of dormant master assembly code packed into every single cell of your body. It is the literal blueprint for the new OS, just waiting for epigenetic switches to be flipped by those pristine future logs downloading from the pineal gland.
But wait, right before this massive upgrade finalizes, things do not get peaceful. They get terrifying.
Oh, yes.
The author shares his own deeply personal story of facing imminent corporate bankruptcy, and he coins this the Esau phenomenon. He describes a moment where his entire material reality seemed to completely fall apart. And we see this all the time. People on the verge of a massive life breakthrough suddenly lose their job, or a long-term relationship abruptly ends. Why does the system crash right before it upgrades?
This raises an important question. What actually is ego death? We throw that term around in self-help and spiritual circles constantly. But physically, neurologically, what is actually happening? It is a process called Bayesian unbinding.
Let's unpack that, because Bayesian sounds like a statistics term. How does it apply to the brain?
Well, it is a statistics term. The biological brain standardly operates on Bayesian inference. That means it constantly uses past data, your past traumas, your past failures, your past successes, to calculate the probability of what will happen next.
It's trying to keep you safe.
Exactly. It is a frantic survival mechanism trying to predict the future. Ego death is the exact moment the brain finally stops doing that. It completely unbinds from the past data. It severs the predictive loop.
But the ego doesn't want to be severed.
No, it doesn't. Right before the brain lets go, the legacy system throws what psychologists call an extinction burst.
It's like a software uninstall warning flashing bright red on your screen. Like, warning. Are you absolutely sure you want to delete this survival script? You will die without it.
That is exactly what it feels like. It floods your biology with the raw terror of imminent non-existence. In the author's case, it manifested as the terrifying reality of bankruptcy. For someone else, it might be a health scare or an identity crisis.
Right.
But it's just the welding sparks of your neural pathways being severed and rerouted. If you don't panic, if you remain the calm observer and just, let it render.
The author uses a specific Japanese concept for that, right? Tariki Hongen.
Yes, Tariki Hongen. It translates roughly to relying on the other power or relying on the ultimate cosmic mainframe instead of your local ego. If you can stay in that state of surrender, the old circuits literally melt. The firmware update completes. You swap the system subject from, I am the separate driver trying to force this life to happen, to life is actively living itself out using this avatar.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? The biggest takeaway for me is redefining what ascension actually is. According to this deep dive, ascension isn't about escaping a 3D world in a spaceship.
No.
It's not about your avatar meditating so hard that you fly away to some mystical realm in the clouds while the real world burns.
Not at all. Ascension is an on-site hardware upgrade.
Yes, it is about shifting your internal bandwidth so that the exact same physical coordinates you are sitting in right now, your living room, your office, your car, are dynamically re-rendered by the cosmic GPU, completely free of the heavy, buggy filters of your ego.
You stay exactly where you are.
Right, but the rendering quality of your life shifts from a buggy, low-res nightmare to a pristine 4K masterpiece.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it is fascinating how this exact biological hardware upgrade has been hidden in plain sight across human history.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about the ancient mythologies like the Ark of the Covenant or the alchemical furnace mapping out the Fornix. But we also see it encrypted in modern pop culture. Look at the movie The Matrix.
Oh, this is the perfect analogy to close on. Walk us through it.
Think about the characters. Thomas Anderson, the corporate drone trapped in the cubicle, represents the restricted ego OS, the MEOS. He's the local web browser. Neo, which is an anagram for the one, is the observer, the I, waking up to its programming power. And Trinity represents the integration. She is the literal Trinity, moving the consciousness architecture perfectly from 0 to 1 to 3.
And before Thomas Anderson wakes up, he is literally sitting in his apartment trying to smudge the green HTML code on his monitor to figure out why his life feels wrong.
Precisely. He is trying to fix the software from the hardware level of a browser. And it leaves us with this final provocative thought to really mull over. If our blockbuster movies and our ancient myths and our religions have been unconsciously broadcasting our biological firmware update manuals this whole time, what other fictional stories playing out in your life right now are actually system prompts from the 0-point field?
Oh, I love that.
What everyday challenges are just waiting for you to stop fighting the screen, hit enter, and finally wake up?
You are staring at the monitor. Your XR headset is fully operational. You just have to stop smudging the screen with your ego, clear the cache, trust the hardware, and let it render.